Here's my grenadier drop. They've got very little to stop me, but this is the distraction. Look. While I launch the Gren drop. That's the main distraction. And I've destroyed 1 power plant, 2 power plants. Got rid of his service depot. 3 power plants. Come on, get rid of it. You can do it. 4 power plants.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game and we're on Pulverise map, but this is an updated revision of the Pulverise map. It's been altered slightly. There are more starting resources. You know, the ore patches are a little larger than they were. And I mentioned that the starting ore and your ore fields are smaller than usual, so it encourages you to expand more quickly and spread about the map. But the map creator has addressed this issue to some degree, only a small degree. It wasn't a problem or an issue as such. I didn't see it that way. But, you know, a little bit more ore resources. You know, I guess the creator decided that it was needed. So it's all good by me, and there were a few other touches and changes made. But anyway, let's get on with this game. I'm using Russia. My opponent's using Russia as well for this one. My opponent's in green, in their mint green colour. I'm in red. And I'm going for my first oil derrick here. Now, my opponent is attempting to cut me off, by the looks of it, and they're using a dog and a decent group of infantry. Let's see how many they've got. 16 to my 17. But they've caught me out there, look. Stopped me gaining access to the flame tower and to the oil derrick. Now, luckily, I saved my engineer. But they're going to use the view range of the dog to trim off any units they can. So I have to retreat within the view range of my oil derrick and hope for the best. Now I've had too many infantry trimmed. This is too much of a large group. So I'm in trouble and my engineer looks trapped. There we go, look. I don't think I killed a single soldier in return, but luckily the engineer got away. Now my opponent is capturing my oil derrick and my flame tower. Now I've got this rifle infantryman waiting here, hoping the enemy engineer blunders along, thinking that all my rifles are here or dead. So I'm just hoping there. That's what this guy's doing here. He's staying shady. And that's in case the enemy escorts the engineer here, but doesn't escort him here. That's what I'm hoping. And there we go, look. I should have waited about here. My opponent's got a dog leading the way. And I did wonder if they may have sent a rifleman or two to guard the hospital. So that's why I'm keeping my engineer back. So I've got 1 oil derrick. My opponent's got 1. About to have 2. And look at that. I had my chance. But I didn't know, of course. But I could have positioned this rifleman here to reveal whether this was flashing or not. Because then you don't need to move that far forward. But you can see that the engineer is capturing it. So I can't go for him there, but... And I've got my APC, my opponent's got their dogs. 1 dog here leading the way, and I've just taken the dog out. Now the infantry here are under attack. But I'm sending this, excuse me, this APC to screen what's left of my infantry. So that's won the initial engagement there. Even things out a little, I would say. And there's the enemy engineer. Very close. My rifleman got a couple of shots off on him. That was so close. 2 riflemen there would have done the job. But my APC backed out of the flame tower's range and it allowed it to lock onto my infantry and kill it. So that didn't work. I was getting the APC to move backwards and forwards to evade its fire, but keep it firing at it, and I moved it too far. So let's look at some initial army values. I'm at 3,000, my opponent's at 4,000, slightly ahead. Yeah. And I've repaired my APC, and I'll put my engineer in there. He's going to escort the engineer to the hospital. So now my opponent's got 3 of the oil derricks. Luckily, he hasn't got them all. Luckily. That would be a far worse situation. As I've explained in previous posts, if your opponent captures these two from you and your oil and your flame tower, you'd be in trouble. Not just from the income loss, but you would be in trouble because of the position they've got to harass you from. And the early view range, the view range from these oil derricks and the defense from the flame tower gives you an early stronghold. So here we go. I've sent my MCV. It's a bit vulnerable, but I need to get moving with the expansions. And I've built my first heavy tank. And there's my rifleman going for a little scout. And my opponent has found him. Now, let's see what my opponent can see. Yeah, he spotted everything. So now this army's on its way. My opponent's at 10,000 army value. I'm at 8,000. Not good. This was my first game of the day, so I was very sleepy, just waking up. So that's why I'm a little slow. And there are no scouts. I've got these rifle guards, and I've got a guy up here, but that's it. My opponent's everywhere. And look, my expansion... ore truck is being gunned down as we speak. There we go, straight. It did get one load of ore, but I managed to send the enemy packing. They're not overrunning that, not with this lot, but I've got my APC there and it's got grenadiers inside. So I can't afford to use that for screening my troops. I just can't afford that. So I've got my tanks, there we are. But I've realised while my opponent's attacking here and he's got a fairly decent force because he's hoping to harass my ore trucks, and I've seen players do this before where they position a decent force in a good formation to harass you and draw your attention. So I thought, right, the first thing I'm going to do is send up a small attack force to hunt his expansion, and they've bumped into the enemy on the way, look. That's just not good at all. And we've got this, they're chipping away at some units. This, I've lost the tanks that were going to go and reinforce these guys. That's not good. And I was busy here. And I've lost those tanks, look, and I didn't actually see what happened. So I've sent these infantry and I've discovered my opponent's construction yard. And there's my grenadier drop. So, and there's my attack. They're still harassing my ore trucks, but my opponent's got an army on a flank attack. Here's my grenadier drop. They've got very little to stop me, but this is the distraction, look. While I launch the gren drop. That's the main distraction, and I've destroyed one power plant, 2 power plants. Got rid of his service depot, 3 power plants. Come on, get rid of it. You can do it. 4 power plants. And the MCV's getting away and doing a bit of scouting. Now my opponent's hitting me here, while I'm attacking here and overrunning this army, so my opponent's got a killer blow. And I'm just now realising that I'm under attack. And there's my scout vehicle, look. Look, I'm realising I'm under attack. My MCV, at home base MCV, is escaping. So now I'm at 9,000 army value, my opponent's at 12. And this is just, you know, it was a killer blow. I was stupid for not noticing that my rifle guard would have warned me. I was stupid for that. But my distractions, you know, worked on my opponent, and they also worked on me. I had my hands full. And at the time, my opponent hit me. So I'm sending this force, look, in this direction, so I can head off my opponent's army. I thought they'd try and pull back this way. So I thought, right, I'll have to deal with these, and it didn't look good. At this point, look, I've got my MCV set up so I can place base defences. I doubt I'm ready. Yeah, there's something ready to build. Got my APC, look, and I had to bring it into position, and now when I saw I had screening vehicles and my opponent didn't, I knew I'd won that engagement. Now, I'm at 6,000 army value, my opponent's at 9,000, so you can see how much I'm struggling here. Half of what I'm doing is just reacting to the enemy. Now, not all of it, and I have done a reasonable bit of damage, but my power situation is terrible after the damage my opponent's just done there. Absolutely terrible. I was lucky to hang on to a war factory and so many barracks. But that has really hit my power supply. I still need to keep building it. But look, I've got a small army here. I'm at 8,000 army value. My opponent's at 12,000. And here we go, look. I thought, right, I've been discovered. And it doesn't look like there's a lot here, but so I've got to hit my opponent. I've got no choice. I have to hit them now and do some damage. And unfortunately, they've got this army here waiting, and I thought, oh look, that's running away, no base defences. I can crush these power plants. Look, there's something there. Oh, it's a rocket drop. Very nice. And I thought I can crush these power plants and then hopefully retreat and cause a distraction somewhere else. But when I saw that army attacking, I tried to face it properly in formation, and because I was in the middle of their structures, it was no good. But they're in low power. I am as well. And now they've just come out of low power. They've recovered. Now my home base MCV has to run. And we're both recovered. I'm in low power just. It's probably my building is putting me into low power. Such a shame. I'm at 5,000 army value. My opponent's at 17. So I can see here, look, that he's hitting my structures. And that was needed, this ore field. It was badly needed. Now, this rocket drop is here. And I didn't realise it was such a small force. I thought I had to... You see, look, I'm sending some units. I didn't realise it was literally 5 rocket soldiers. So what I'm doing now is I know I'm beaten. I've been beaten. Most players would call it here, but I'm moving my 2 MCVs out, and I'm hoping once one of them sets up, I'm moving this one out of the way, look, setting it up here, and then I'm going to build a radar dome, and then when this one reaches, hopefully I'm looking for a vulnerable enemy expansion, so I can set that up, and with my radar dome, use thieves and engineers to do the chokehold, take hold of his economy, and hopefully hold him off long enough to win. And look, he's using APCs because I've wrecked his service depot, so he switched to APCs. If I'd had a bit of a stronger position and more tanks, I could have taken this, or at least held on for a bit. And look, his rocket soldiers are killing my tanks. Although my infantry are moving in, a flame tower would be lovely at about now. Those heavy tanks fight so well. Look, is ready for the dome, I'm guessing, or unless it's power, something like that. I may have more important structures needed. And look, I've lost this engagement. Yeah, I have got the radar dome. But I bumped into this attack force. Sadly, it ruined my plans, killed my engineers that I had prepared. I haven't even got spies yet, and they can't escape if I do train them. Now, this is trying to escape, and I'm hopefully looking for another enemy expansion. But, there's these attack forces here. I'm trapped, surrounded, and that's it. I haven't got a strong enough force to make my way to my opponent's base to do a chokehold, but I've got both my MCVs, they're running, but that's it. I've decided that I'm calling it here at this point. So it was, it was over. I couldn't fight on. A difficult first game, especially as I haven't played in a couple of days. You know what I'm like. My viewers will know I often get rusty quite easily. But, it was a fun game, and I was happy with the way that the distraction made the Gren drop effective. And it was just a shame that those couple of tanks ran into the enemy force, because this infantry didn't have any screening units with it. It was a shame that. I suppose I could have moved them away and sent the APC to regroup with them. Maybe take out the hospital and move on somewhere else. I'll have to be more sly and more careful with my attack forces, like do a bit of damage, move on and escape with them, draw the enemy units away, etc. Try and get the enemy to react to you, especially if like me, I was reacting to them quite a lot. You shouldn't do that. You should have strong enough defences not to so you don't have to react to them. But I'll go through the graphs and charts. There's the army graph, look, and you can see, look, I was behind. That was a shame. And my opponent had a nice spike there. And then a big increase. So it was from, like, just before the 10-minute point. I was... got smashed after that. Earnings graph. Yeah, look at that spike in my opponent's earnings. Very nice. Mine was not great. And my earnings didn't increase as the game went on either. That's not a good sign. My opponent's finishing army, heavy tank, APCs, engineer, decent amount of troops. 22,000 army value for my opponent, that's good. At the end, I lost 22 structures, my opponent lost 8 structures. I killed 150 units and my opponent killed 211 units. I destroyed 35,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 60,000 credits worth of mine. No support powers in effect. And I did build a radar dome though, but that was in an attempt to use thieves that I didn't get the chance. And my opponent's building basics, Tesla coil, refineries, rocket soldiers, and still on APCs. Because, like I say, I took out the service depot. No, I think they may have even sold it. Because my grenadier drop. Here's the economy tab. My opponent's hung on to 3 oil derricks. Very nice. And they've got 8 ore trucks. And they, excuse me, I earned 66,000 credits. My opponent earned 87,000 credits. I've got a few grand left. My opponent's got double. And here's the basics. I was at 31 actions per minute. It's about standard for me. My opponent was at 59 actions per minute. And there's our scores. 343 to me, 581 to my opponent. So there's all your stats, graphs and tabs. Everything for you. Hope you enjoyed that game. I'm going to add my second game of the day just to make this post a little more substantial. So I'm going to go to that post right away.
Terminated.
Here we go.
Battle control initialized.
Welcome. This is a 1v1 multiplayer game on Desert Rats map. I am using Russia in red. My opponent's using England in green. And my opponent, this particular player, I've got a few posts where I've fought this player and they always choose this map. And they have a set way that they arrange the options. Usually it's a standard, as you can see. We've got the we've got the shroud, no shroud, and the fog of war is active, just like standard setup. But they don't have reusable engineers. This player, they have kill bounties. Everything else is a standard, in fact, but they don't vary from this map ever. And they always have the engineers, so they're single use. Now with me, I don't mind that, because I can do a chokehold with an engineer, and it doesn't matter if it's single use, I'll keep resetting the capture bar, so I can still do the chokehold even with reusable engineers not checked. So, as you can see here, my first engineer has captured the oil derrick and gone inside, so that's it. You need a second engineer to capture this one. And my opponent is going for his first, and he's got a second engineer. Now, I know this player likes to go and send engineers to these oil derricks early, so I'm waiting, look. But they've wised up. My opponent they're capturing these two, but they're sending infantry ahead of the engineers, because in my last game, I quite easily dispatched their engineers as they were on their way. But this time my opponent's on the ball, he's escorting his engineers, but I know that he's got too many rifles here for this force to attack him and defeat him. And move command, stop it. But this rifleman is moving away, and while these guys are getting defeated, this guy's moving away. And he's going to go to a little shady place and wait for a moment, because there's an engineer, look. And the riflemen are behind him. And watch this. 2, 3, done. They're on move command. Go on. Nice work. He got an engineer and a soldier. He died a hero. And there we go. Let's see if my opponent does train another engineer immediately. Because they're getting a stronger presence, but it's only riflemen. We're at 2 minutes 38. I've just started training rocket soldiers, but my opponent, is that an engineer? Building engineer, yes it is. So this engineer, they are a big fan of their oil derricks. I believe that this is part of a big part of their strategy for this map, is to take the oil derricks, and an attempt, also, they always attempt to take these 2 central ones, especially this one. Now, if they can take 3 at least, or hopefully 4, that gives them an advantage over their opponent, and I think this player seems to rely on these oil derricks, thinking that most opponents can't be bothered with single-use engineers and all that. So, and they find that probably most players don't capture many oil derricks, and that's why they go for them. Look, they've got 3 now, and I've got 2, so they're already ahead of me in the oil derricks. But I've got grenadiers here. Look, I had them ready 5 for when my APC comes out, because I know this player, he uses this map that often that he knows what to do, and he's good on this map. He knows it. So I know that the best time to take him out is early. It's the best time because he's more vulnerable early. Now, all players are more vulnerable early, but some are just expert. They shut down your Gren drop, and it doesn't matter when you try it, they're just ready for it. But unless you launch a big distraction and it's well timed, you can't really do Gren drops on the best players. They'll be ready. Now, as you can see, he's seen my APC because his rifle guard told him. So I'm assuming that's why he's sending these rifles out. Look, he's even bringing back a light tank. He's got his rangers. And there's my APC. Yeah, he's completely preparing for my Gren drop. So I thought, right, if he's ready for this, then that's going to prove to be the distraction, and use these to destroy the first expansion my opponent sets up. And I know that's the first one he sets up because it's the first one most players would. So you see they're falling back, and I'm attacking that, but he's built a camo pillbox. My APC is over 50% health, so that's fine. Got rid of the camo pillbox. Can I get rid of these? That would be nice. Worth my units dying. Oh, it's a shame. They did okay, those guys. And look, I accidentally ran into the enemy, lost a grenadier, and because I deployed, but I have to get them back in and escape. I'm not wasting those units like that. There's no need to waste them. So I've only got 4 grenadiers left in there now. But it's fine. At least I didn't lose them all. And this is going to scout for my expansion, because I've sent my second MCV south. And normally I'd go this way, so I don't know why I did that. Perhaps it was because I'd just attacked on this side and thinking my opponent would be stronger on this side now, which is why I'm, set up there. But I got rid of that rifle guard, but I think... Let's see what they know. They probably saw... There you go, they found it. Right. They've found my MCV, my construction yard, and I'm in trouble here. And they're bringing reinforcements in, and these units, if I pack it up, it's in a lot more trouble, because these guys will pursue it. Now, why he doesn't deploy the engineer and capture it, I don't know. That has to be what's in that ranger. Why didn't you deploy it and capture it? Whoa. Right, now I packed it up. This is my mistake. I should have left it there. It would be stronger, and they wouldn't be moving away from me now either. So look how close this is. Rangers finishing off that, and I couldn't get there. So I've lost my construction yard, my expansion construction yard, before it had even set up one expansion up. That's bad. That's a bad loss, doing that. So let's check army values after that. My opponent's at 6.5, I'm at 13,000. So that cost them doing that. I need to do damage and press my attack before they can take advantage of what they've just done. Before I start to suffer from not having an expansion, I need to launch a decisive attack. And I thought, right, I can use my Gren drop now, because my opponent is completely distracted. Completely overrun. Why these guys aren't fighting, I don't know. He's probably forgotten about them. No, there they are. They're coming now. Right, deploy my 4 grenadiers. And they couldn't kill a mechanic, but I'm attacking the power plant. There you go, there's a power plant. And now I'm attacking service depot. But they all blew up as one. That's they're very volatile, them grenadiers. And we've got my opponent's called it, but we've got infantry coming out from here, so I need a vehicle to screen my units while I take them on. But there you go, my opponent's called it there, and I don't blame them. They had nothing left to resist with. This force wasn't going anywhere. So yeah, it's a very brief but harsh one for my opponent. I'll go through the graphs and charts for you, and look at that. Very interesting. I wonder what happened to my forces there to give my opponent such an advantage. Let me think. I did lose this small force when I sent that single rifleman here to kill the enemy engineer, but strange. That's interesting. You know, very interesting army graph, and look at that drop. But it was because their army, it was a small starting army, and it chased my MCV, and he lost the whole army for the MCV. So, you know, it's not worth it. Earnings graph. Yeah, my opponent was ahead at the start there, but I had a nice increase. Kept the earnings going. And some heavy tanks, got my APC, and a small amount of infantry. It's only a 12,000 army value that I've got, so, you know, it's not a lot. My opponent lost 5 structures, I lost 1. Somehow I lost 1. How did I manage that? Losing a structure. Oh well. And my opponent killed 57 units, I killed 100. My opponent destroyed 10,000 credits worth of my assets. I destroyed 21,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. There's no support powers in effect. It's too early in the game. But basics are being built. I'm building refineries, flame towers, infantry, heavy tanks. So economy tab. I've got 2 oil derricks. I hung on to those 2. Now, I didn't capture either of these, but there would have been an early priority because I know that they are for my opponent, and in past games I've captured these or destroyed them, and my opponent has immediately adapted to expanding. So as far as I know, unless it's no longer the case, they count these as a priority over anything. When it comes to their expansions and stuff, they like to take make a presence in the centre of the map and take these. And that gives them an advantage over their opponent, obviously, if they can defend them. But we've both got 5 grand, almost the same amount. Very nearly, is like 100 and a few credits in it. So, yeah, I earned 43,000 credits. My opponent earned 42,000 credits. Very close. I've got 6 ore trucks left, and like I say, I've hung on to my 2 oil derricks. But yeah, my opponent's got... my opponent earned 42,000. I earned 43. My opponent's got 5,600. I've got 5,700 left. Very close for credits and that, earnings. But my opponent was at 54 actions per minute. They were at it, giving plenty of orders there, right at it. I was at 29 actions per minute. The score's 106 to 207. And there's all your tabs, stats and graphs. There you go. I hope you enjoyed those 2 games. If you did like them, give us a sub and a like. And thank you very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, everyone. And for now, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.